In this repair video, we're going to be working on a PS5 game console that came in for a lot of issues. What are people doing to these consoles? The console came in for a damaged HDMI connector, a damaged USB connector, and a damaged USB connector, the blue ones. Let me show you what's going on. Every single connector on this board is damaged. So you can tell, you can see how the HDMI connector is damaged. Let's move to the right. USB connector damaged. Let's move to the right. USB connector damaged. Without wasting any time, let's go ahead and replace all three connectors. And we can call the customer to come and pick up. I told the customer that this console should be ready early next week. Today is Friday, but maybe I'll call him to come and pick up tomorrow. I told Big Boss to open several of the game consoles that we have for repair, and I thought I'll work on all of them at once. The first thing I want to do is apply low melt solder. Fume extractor on. All right, so now that we applied low melt solder, let's use our hot air station to remove that connector. And that connector is out. Done. While the board is hot, we're going to use our nf.sucker to remove solder from the holes. And we're going to do it from this side. In yesterday's video, I cut the tip of the nf.sucker to an angle, so we can easily tilt that nf.sucker under the microscope, because usually we have to align it vertically in order to suck solder properly. But now that we cut the tip at an angle, we can place the sucker under the microscope, just like that. See? Done. And look at this, one stroke, two holes. Now, I did something wrong. And I was not careful. I had the sucker here, and I'm using that sucker at an angle. I'm trying to get used to it at an angle where I pointed like this instead of vertical. And what happened is, because that sucker is powerful, when I press on that button, it moved to the front a bit and it knocked off this component. So we have to be careful next time. Like I said, that sucker is very powerful. It's like a gun. When you shoot a gun, you know how it pulls? I feel like the sucker is the same way. When I have it vertically, I do not have to worry about that movement, because the movement is upwards. You just have to be careful because it's powerful. So it sucked two holes in one stroke. We knocked off that component, but that's not a problem. We have 6 million donor components that we can grab from donor boards. And let's go ahead and do it now. I have a donor board right next to me. So I'm glad this happened. So you know when you have a sharp knife, you have to be careful how you use it. If you do not use it right, you can cut your fingers. Before we remove this component, maybe we can check on the value. Okay, so ohms mode, we have 200, actually not 200, 27K, 27 kilo ohms. That nf.sucker sucks, but in a good way. Some people in the comments wrote, why not an electrical desoldering gun? Why? Desoldering gun is more expensive, heavier, it needs battery power or electrical power, and it's slower. What's the use? We desolder 2-hole with 1 stroke. nf.sucker is lighter, cheaper, much cheaper, more efficient. I can engage it in 1 second. 1 second press, 1 second press, 1 second press, 1 second press. I can do 10 holes in 10 seconds. How long would it take for an electrical desoldering tool to desolder 10 holes? You have to point exactly at the hole, and if the gun is not pointed right, you have to go left or right or repeat. Why? What's the use? It's like going to school or going to work. Your work is 5 blocks away and you are taking a jet plane to go to work. Just take a bicycle. Lighter, no gas needed, no battery needed, faster, more efficient. Why go in a jet plane, right? Nobody goes in a jet plane to work, but just an example. So I got the resistor from a donor board, and now we're gonna solder it right over here, and we're gonna straighten this guy. Right now we're gonna be using the nf.mini pen, and the NF pen is capacitive touch. So I need to have my skin exposed in order to touch that sensor on the pen to activate the pen. And that's why sometimes you see holes in my gloves, because I cut the glove from the very tip, and while working that glove may just come off. You see we have a button here, but you do not need to press on the button. All you need to do is touch your skin with the button. That's it. When I release my finger, it goes to sleep. So it can elongate the life of the tip. That's why the tips on this pen, they last a very long time. Because when you're not using the pen, when your finger is not on that button, it goes to sleep. We are currently out of the nf.mini pen, but we have a shipment in about 3 weeks. We have a new version. The red version. Just like our microscopes. And just like our nf.sucker. Okay, that component is in place. And now what we need to do is just make this component straight again. Perfect. We're done. So that mistake costed us a few seconds more. I like to be efficient and quick, but mistakes happen. What can you do? My mother was running after my kid in the store here. They were racing, and she fell. She fell on her hand. She fractured her hand right below the elbow. She did not feel the fracture at first. She got up and she said, I'm okay, I'm okay. But then after a few minutes, she felt a lot of pain. What can you do? Sometimes things like this can happen. It doesn't matter how careful you are. We are humans. I'm gonna desolder the pads. Now Big Boss is leaving in 10 minutes. I do not know if I'm going to be able to finish before he leaves. But even if we do not try it, that's okay. It's only an HDMI and USB connector issue, so the console should work 100% unless there's something else wrong with it. We're going to use the NorthridgeFix anti-static brush, and you can tell it's a NorthridgeFix brush by looking at the logo here. What's special about those brushes, the NorthridgeFix brush, is quality check. We check every brush, brush by brush. You do not get any lemons, you do not get anything that's not good. Every brush that you get is going to be perfect. Okay, Amtech wipes, 99% isopropyl. The NorthridgeFix brush, perfect. We did not properly add solder to the last pad. I did not see it. What's going on today? Let's talk less and do more. At Flux, I'm gonna grab a new connector, solder it on, and then we're gonna move on to replacing this one and this one. Very nice. We're gonna apply hot air to solder that connector. Let me show you how I do it. All right, we are done. We are done. Better than factory. You'll see. Keep holding until solder hardens. Only takes a few seconds. And now we can check on that connector. Are the pins solid? They do not have to be soaked with solder in order for those pins to be solid. Look at this. Solid like a rock, every single pin. Those pins are gold, like you see them here. And when somebody looks at this, they cannot tell, is this factory or somebody soldered a new connector? Usually those pins look silver when somebody solders a new connector because they go at this pin by pin, they apply solder, but we do not need to do it here because the pin is making a connection end to end. We need to solder the back, apply flux. Flux is your friend. And look at that beauty. Let's move on to replacing the USB connectors, both of them. I already have flux applied here, flux applied here. Let's get rid of this. We'll put it back for the customer. They're not needed, but why not? So the customer can feel special. What can you do? 559 flux out. So let me grab one 559 flux. I'm gonna transfer the needle from this one to this one, and perfect. Let's apply fresh Amtech flux right here, right here, right here, right here. Apply the melt here, here. And we're gonna apply low melt right here. Make sure this one is good. All right. Why not do the second one also, so we can apply hot air all at once? That way we can hit two birds with one stone. Now we can remove both ports. Alright, so that connector is out. It fell on the floor. And let's do this one. I have the board at the edge of my bench, so the connector will fall on the floor. Connector is moving, and the connector is out. Now we're gonna grab the solder sucker. And done. See? So easy. Press, point, click. Press, point, click. Press, point, click. You do not need an electric sucker where it serves no better purpose than this one. Clean up. Now we are ready to solder two new USB ports. And we should have no problem inserting that connector because all the holes are clean and they should fit perfect, just like that. Let's go to the back. And I did not clean the back, but that's okay. No problem. Awesome. The job is done. We're going to end the video right here. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think. Leave it down in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll do something else in the next video.